Have you ever listened to psychic mediums and everything turns out to be light and bright and all is well? Have you then realized that there's more to reveal, that maybe something is missing? Welcome to Shades of Spirit Radio with me, psychic medium Jaime. Join me as I connect you to all shades of spirit during this live call-in show. I'm a medium, Reiki master, spiritual connector, and paranormal investigator. I provide a safe space for people to turn when they are scared and in a non-judgmental heart. I'm going to help you, the listeners, identify ways you can connect by supplying the spiritual tools you can use in your everyday life when connecting with spirit. We reach everyone and exclude no one. Are you ready to connect with spirit? This show is leaving nothing off limits. Shades of Spirit starts now. Good afternoon, everyone. I am psychic medium Jaime, who's also a Reiki master. And now we are official. LaShawn, the Luminous Mystic from Luminous Path with Love, and I have put together a separate group, which is the two of us, both of our businesses combined, and it's called Paranormal Road Trip. You guys got to check us out. So it's going to be two chicks in a car, and we are driving all over the place doing paranormal investigations in some of the most alleged haunted locations. Currently, it's in California, and then we're going to be branching out and making more road trips to further destinations, as well as really coming into a space of being able to help people in their homes with their empowerment, justifying and validating the experiences they're having through some of our high-tech paranormal equipment. I'm just so excited to be able to have this next chapter and endeavor moving forward, because it's something we both have been enjoying doing. And now we've actually put it into motion, put it together, gave it a name. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page. It's Paranormal Road Trip. I'm getting together a website. You guys know that those usually take a little bit longer. But yeah, so check that part out of it. It's going well. I have to apologize, you guys. I don't know how many of you right now are going through any type of anxiety or physical symptoms. Like, it has just been an off 2 days for me. I think it's because LaShawn and I did 9 hours straight at her table, and I just have not come out of that fog. But like, it has been a day to where I've really had to like sit and focus on what I'm doing. And I have this headache that comes and goes when spirit's coming in. And so that's what's been happening as well. So I know it's kind of I hate the word ascension, but definitely a next level for me, because now we've opened up doors, and we actually did all of this, putting together events, calling locations. We have multiple events on the Paranormal Road Trip Facebook page, as well as Shades of Spirit LLC's Facebook page, to promote our events. But we've got 3 events coming up, plus multiple overnights in different alleged haunted locations. And so when I start to move into a different vibration, it physically affects me. So if I don't make any sense today, Emily, you're just gonna have to do a lot of cutting and pasting of the entire show. Thank goodness I have notes in order to follow. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this show, because a lot of my focus has been on some of the new chapters that are coming in. And yet I wanted to evaluate, what am I doing the most of right now when it comes down to the holistic and spiritual work? And honestly, it's past life readings. A lot of us now who are starting to recover from, and yes, recover from the 2020, 2021, 2022 fog, right? That time where we did a lot of self-reflection, or we pushed it all down and avoided self-reflection during that time, while we were in quarantine, while we were in our 4 doors, while we were really just in that space of, not being able to talk and communicate to people. But this energy is coming up now, and people want to deal with it, and they want to know, where is it coming from? How can I move past it? What are the lessons in it? And so what better than a past life reading? But I've had multiple people who have actually come to me during our psychic fairs that we go to, and some of the events that we do, that want more information on it, but they don't want a past life regression. And I didn't realize that when you say past life reading, that a lot of people associate that with the umbrella of past life regression. Now, how many of you know that there are 2 different categories for this? Past life readings, and then a separate category is past life regressions. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is doing some of the education and then talk about ways that I take our clients into a space of a past life reading and how that can help and benefit us. And at the end, I've got about a 10-sentence little mini meditation that I'm just going to read to you that you can write down, and then listen to some meditation music and work on cutting cords to those past lives yourself. So I'm going to give you the tools to be able to do some of these things on your own, because you don't always need someone to facilitate that. You can be empowered in your space and do it within yourself. And sometimes we get more out of that active process than some of the other ones. So, like I said, right now we're in a very deep reflective state, and we have been now for about a year, right? We're coming out of that fog. Then we start to wonder where we came before this life. Hence the amount of past life and Akashic record readings I've been doing lately. Where did I come from? Where's this energy coming from? Why do I feel like I'm repeating patterns and lessons? We start questioning some of our barriers. And if some of the barriers that we're just starting to empower ourselves in and set up, did they stem from past life lessons that we've carried into this life, right? That we're trying to create this ultimate life, and we have all these goals, and yet we're figuring out that there's a puzzle piece missing here, or we feel like the puzzle piece that should have gone here is no longer. Some of you want to know who you were, while others want to know how they complete the cycle and to finish off that past life and move forward. So we're going to talk about all those things today. Let's start with the past life regression, right? So first of all, past lives are a theory that cannot be proven, okay? But honestly, what in the spirit world can be? Minus, from my personal experience, a lot of the paranormal work we do or group readings that we do when we bring paranormal equipment in, but you're going to get people that are going to be naysayers on even that equipment and what is showing up on it or how it's reacting to it. And that's fine. That's anything, right? That's just anything in life. But it can't be proven and it can't be disproven. So it's got to be something you feel. And that's why people reach out for these readings, is because they're feeling something and they're not quite sure how to backtrack it or where to place it. Past life readings are different from past life regressions. And we're going to define past life regression first. Okay. So a past life regression. How many of you have been to a hypnotherapist or know what hypnotherapy is, right? Past life regression is a method that we use in hypnosis to recover what practitioners believe are lives of incarnation. So I do believe that we reincarnate, that we come back to planet Earth, Earth School, or as I commonly refer to it as hell, because I don't believe necessarily as a fiery inferno underneath us. I believe that as spiritual beings, this is our inner and outer hell at times. And it's the lessons that we learn and continue to ascend that continue bringing us back here. So with those incarnations, that means that we've had multiple lives here on Earth. This practice, past life regression, is widely considered discredited by unscientific and medical practitioners. Like I said, not everybody's going to agree that this is a thing, and that's okay. But those people that do and understand it and understand how we can cut those cords and progress, we honor it. And I just want you to keep an open mind if you've never even had a past life reading or were unsure what these are, okay? Experts generally regard claims of recovered memories of past lives as fantasies or delusions. It's a type of fabricated, disordered, okay, I'm just going to use that, or misinterpreted memories about oneself of the world, okay? So it's an illusion or a disillusion. They're not real. And you'll find that a lot of those medical, communities will look at hypnosis also in the same way, which is also tough for those people that have gifts and would like to grow those gifts and understanding and believing, and then being able to associate, is this my thought or is this the thought of spirit coming in, whether that be your spirit guides, your angels, your loved ones. So when you're using past life regression, you are actually going into a hypnotic state, being guided by a hypnotist. Past life regression is typically undertaken either in pursuit of a spiritual experience or a setting that you were in. Most advocates loosely adhere to beliefs about reincarnation, though religious traditions, and this is a big thing, that incorporate reincarnation generally do not include the idea of repressed memories of past lives. It's a lot of information, right? But I wanted to give you all the information out there. So past life regression, in summary, is something that you do under a hypnosis process. You go in, you sit down, your hypnotist will put you under. They're going to bring you back into a past life state. You're going to relive that past life memory. And then the goal for us is to be able to bring you back out of it in a space to where you can really heal with it. But you do, not always, but you can and will feel the trauma and relive it a bit, because you've actually gone in a hypnosis state. Your subconscious mind has gone into one direction, and now you're really feeling and reliving that. And that's been people's concerns and fears is, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to relive it. Okay, then you want a past life reading. And ultimately, from my experience, and I have done past life regressions, actually did one on LaShawn the Luminous Mystic years ago, and it is very intense. It can be very intense. There were tears, there was laughter, but she was literally putting herself into that space and allowing me to guide her through what she was seeing, what she was feeling, and then how do we heal those repressed emotions, memories, traumas. And honestly, I feel like, and I think she'd agree, that it was a very beautiful transition. So I have done those, but the majority are past life readings, right? Not quite as deep. We don't go through the trauma of a regression. We don't relive the trauma stored in our etheric bodies or our soul codes, if you will. We kind of dip our toe in. So like you're standing there by that lake and you're like, oh, is that water too cold to get into? Because that's me. If I ever go to the lake and I have my bathing suit on, I'm like, let's see how cold that is. I'm just dipping my toe into that past life. And that's me as the practitioner. I am dipping my toe in there to see what it is I need to see in order for you to move forward, in order for you to heal, okay? So when we do that, we're not bringing all of that to the surface. I'm not guiding you through that entire traumatic experience again, which is why people really want to go more with the past life readings the majority of the time. We identify what that experience is in a past life reading. How is it still tied to our soul, to our subconscious, to our ascension? And then I help you find ways to release that experience so we can move forward. So once we can acknowledge it and we can then tie it to something happening the here and now, now we have a parallel. Now we have something that we can actually cut that cord of. So long as you've actually learned that lesson. And if you haven't quite mastered or learned that lesson that you brought up from that past life, guess what? I'm going to help you gather the tools that you need in order to finish that lesson off and give you the tools for you to cut that cord yourself. I want you guys to really understand this part of it. Not everyone can do these readings. So again, like we've talked about in the past few years of doing our radio show on Transformation Talk Radio, is that, of course, we know not all practitioners, when it comes down to this field, are legit. We've all had them. We go to different places and get readings just to see how they work and walk away like, what just happened, right? So not everybody that does a psychic reading or a mediumship reading or an intuitive reading or a Reiki session is going to be able to access that. It takes time. It takes practice, years of trusting ourselves, letting that ego go, which is the biggest part, allowing ourselves to bring that information through naturally through spirit. They take prep work if done properly. So they're not readings that I just jump into and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I actually have different decks that I will use. I will actually connect with your spirit team ahead of time. I will actually move into the lessons that they're looking at and then bring it all together. So it takes a lot more of beforehand work than it does just jumping into a reading. Why is that? It's because I want to make sure I'm giving you everything you possibly need for that particular reading, and that I've done my homework. Sometimes you'll have questions. Sometimes in a past life reading, you're like, okay, I'd really like to understand why this, and this keep happening, or I'm on a repeat, or I've got patterns or familial patterns or ancestral karma that I want to break free of. And when you give me that information, that's great in a past life reading because I don't need to be in the dark. When we go into your Akashic records, sometimes we're going to send you a list of questions. And sometimes it's just going to be, well, let's just see what's there and what your spirit team wants you to know and understand right now, and how are we working into those Akashic records. So past life regression and past life readings have been around since about the 2nd century BC. So for all of you, that's been a long time, right? A very long time. And the first people and group that used to use them in the 2nd century BC were used in yoga sutras. So as they were working through their yoga and they were working through their sutras and that mindfulness meditation and the movement of the body, they were actually also working on past life energy. Now, what's really cool about this is that different cultures view this a bit differently. And that's something I actually just texted a friend of ours. She had a clip that she sent us for something in the spirit community. And she's like, what are your thoughts? And at the end of the day, my thoughts are going to differ from everyone else's. So when you look at even something like past life readings, okay, initially they started 2nd century BC. We got our yoga studios. They're bringing in that past life energy. They're helping you cut those cords, move through with your breath, right? And with the poses and releasing. I mean, that's a big part of what we want to do is release those lessons that we've learned, right? Now, when you move into different cultures, for my opinion, it's a linear view of past life regressions and readings, okay? It's to separate the karma from the soul. And you look at different cultures and past life readings, they're talking a lot about releasing the karma from the soul. And when we have finally released all that karmic energy, right? And we are coming back and we no longer have any karmic energy left that's following us, we are now in an ascended space. What does that mean? More than likely, that means that we don't have to come back down to earth, that we've learned the life lessons for our soul progression. And now we can continue to work in the spirit form, maybe go into a higher intellectual being space, okay, different planets. Yes, alien planets, alien life, right? We're not the smartest of the bunch, right? So we can move ourselves up to now, it's like an upgrade. Let's move up here. Maybe we want to work with the angelic realms. Maybe we just want to be spirit guides for the rest of our life. Can we still come back down? Absolutely. Because there's always more learning and growing. But when we have finally finished the karmic energy, we no longer have to be tied into these life lessons. And so when you think of ascended masters, like Buddha, you think of ascended masters. For me, it's Dr. Asui with our Reiki that we follow and that I practice and that I teach. Mother Teresa. These individuals that I work with from time to time are ascended masters. They've cleared out all that karmic energy. And they've allowed themselves to be, for me, it's a free being, a free soul. We no longer have those lessons in Earth School, so now we can continue to help people up here. And part of it's by the works and the teachings that they've done, which is pretty darn cool if you think about it. So there's a couple different ways that I tap into your past lives, okay? The first one is that I sit down with my spirit team and ask to see the records that I'm supposed to pay attention to, right? So if I'm doing it for me or I'm doing it for you, I need to sit down with my team, your team, and say, okay, what are the records I'm supposed to pay attention to? For me, it's literally like I'm in Harry Potter. And I guess you've heard me say this before when I've talked about past life readings, but I'll sit in my hall of records, if you will, not necessarily my Akashic records, but my hall of records, or I'll sit into your hall of records. Unless I'm doing an Akashic reading, I'll move into your Akashic space. And I let the books come to me. It's a pretty cool experience. And so they're coming at me, and then they're going to stop in front of me. And I'm going to know these are the ones that I need to pull from and gather the information. Now, you can do this yourself. If you are an active meditator, if you will, if you practice meditation daily, if you are able to sit in that quiet space, maybe it's mindfulness. For me, it's a lot of mindfulness meditation. So it's focused meditations. I will set the space for me to be able to sit down and to be able to gather any type of knowledge that I need from my past lives for what I'm going through in the moment, or gather information of the ideas that I've put out into my Akashic records and which ones are going to be fruitful, which ones are going to work, and which ones can I let go of. And I just see these books coming in. Again, you got to let go of the ego and you got to be open to the lesson at hand. So as these books come in, whether it's for you or for me, they might be different colors. Sometimes they're written in fire. When they're written in fire, I've set that up for me to mean that it's release, release, release. So that book is important for the release process. Sometimes it's in blue, so it's more protection, right? But this takes time. But if you're already meditating, why not move into that time and space? Which is, again, why I say that not everyone can just jump into past life readings, because it literally takes time for you to be able to decipher the images and symbols to know what it is that you're looking at. Once I pick that book, right? And once I have them all open to those pages, I focus what the goal is with myself or my clients. And I start to create a fusion. So ultimately, my past life readings will move into Akashic records and vice versa. When we're working in the Akashics, we are looking at kind of what we're putting out there. We're looking at what was. So you can do Akashic readings on anything, your house. You can do Akashic records on your businesses. It's a fascinating experience to go through. But a lot of times it's going to lead me into a past life because we're holding on to something. We're holding on to a lesson that we need to finish off and release. When we do this, you're going to have questions. And I urge you, if you're doing a past life reading with anybody, right, or an Akashic Records reading, ask the questions. Because it's not like I need to surprise you or I need to prove myself or validate in a mediumship reading or even a psychic session or, an intuitive counseling session. Let me bring the information to you. I want to work with you. So this is definitely a give and take for both of us. Sometimes I'm going to jump right into a life with the help of your spirit team. Again, like I said, I have different types of tools that I use. And sometimes they'll say, okay, go to the book. So I'm going to go to the book and I'm going to pull it open. 99% of the time, my clients are able to associate what I get from the book from places that they've been to, places that they're being called to, cultures that they're drawn to. And they always wonder why. So I had done a past life reading for a lady and her friend. And this particular lady met me at one of our psychic fairs. And her friend was on hospice. She was passing of cancer. And so they wanted to do this together before her friend left. And so I did this reading for the two of them to kind of figure out where they were in life before, what were they here to do. And then I pulled a past life card for the lady that was on hospice. And her husband was sitting behind and he was, engaging with us as well. And he goes, now you put a piece together for me. Remember, we tell you guys, readings are not just for the one, it's for the whole. And he goes, we went to India for a wedding and we've been drawn to go back there ever since. And I've had people say, I go to the same vacation spot in Scotland. I don't have any family ties or ancestral ties in my DNA this time around, but I always go to this particular location. For us, we're drawn towards the Hawaiian Islands, go to all the different islands, connect in that energy. Sometimes it is ancestral DNA that pulls us there, but a lot of times it's because we've been there so many times before in past lives that it's familiar, that it's calming. I mean, how many of you have those places to where you continue going back and you might see different sites, but you continue going back to that same place? More than likely, it's because you were of that culture. You'd have those religious beliefs. You have lessons that you are finishing up in this life, the karmic lessons that we're trying to get rid of. And so we're being pulled into those locations. And I urge you, nowadays when milk costs $25, it's harder to save for a vacation. But if you're going to take one vacation in your life, that's going to be your aha moment, do it to somewhere that is out of your realm of like comfort. Right? I want you to push yourself a bit. I want you to think about, where have I always wanted to go, and try and make that happen in this life. Because when you step foot, and this is the other part that just makes me smile when I have clients come back, when you step foot on that land, when you get off that airplane or train or boat and you step foot on that land, you feel it at such a deep, intense level. I get the chills just thinking about it and thinking about people's stories that I've talked to when they've come back from actually making these trips. And you know that you are home. and you almost don't want to get back on that plane, not because work is crazy, not because you guys are like over here like, oh my gosh, I can't go back to the kids, though we all have those days. But you truly feel the energy of this space. That is when you connect into that past life wholeheartedly. That's when you take that knowledge and information, and that's where you leave the lessons that you brought from that life into this one, back on that soil, back on that space. Now, if you go into a past life regression, remember, a past life regression is through hypnosis. You are moving yourself into more of a trance-like state. We are working with the brain. We are working with deep-seated memories in our subconscious that we are guiding out, which is why we want to be careful in that space. If you're not ready to actually feel it and relive it again, you're not going to want to do a regression. You're not going to want to go into that hypnotic state. You're going to want to go into a past life reading so that we can acknowledge and then move further in this life. We can cut the cords and continue to grow. So before we go on break, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, where are you called to? What experiences have led you to your certain career, or maybe the type of attraction you have towards, your soulmate, your soul companion? Do you date a particular culture, which happens to a lot of people, right? They're drawn to a particular culture, ethnic background. Do you travel? Do you like to talk to people? What do you feel when you're doing that? I want you to do some reflection before we go on break, because when we get into the next part of it, I'm going to help you kind of guide through your own past life in a very safe space, of course, to be able to get some of those answers. And so I want you to think of a question when I go on break of anything and everything. Why does this particular pattern happen? Why do I feel drawn to these locations? And throw them in my messages, right? So I'll check my messages on Shades of Spirit LLC Facebook, and I'll try and get to some of those like questions as well as we're going through this. But it is absolutely amazing what we can do and how we can heal when we're doing past life readings, and understanding that none of this is linear. All of this is all over the place, and that we're here to learn and grow. But first you have to believe in reincarnation. And so if you don't, then what is your lesson here? And how can we continue to move you forward? I have people that don't believe in reincarnation, know that they're here for a purpose. And so we work on the soul's purpose in this life. I'm not going to lie. I go into their past lives and figure out what's going on, and then I bring it to the forefront. Everyone's allowed to have their own belief systems. So after the break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about more of our identity, how that reflects into our past lives. What can you do in your Hall of Records and your Akashic records? Where is our soul history actually held? And so much more. So I want you guys to go to Shades of Spirit LLC. I want you to look at the events, even if you're not from San Diego, where I am. And the events are located in San Diego Riverside area for the most part right now, but you're making a vacation and you want to come to one of our events, please do. If you want to host one of our workshops that are going to be coming out, please do. I've got multiple workshops that we have just put into motion, and I'll be putting them out for you guys. One of them is going to be a fall workshop, and then a holiday workshop, and then a double group reading with LaShawn and I. And we're going to be doing also kind of a kickoff to 2024 group reading and event. And LaShawn is putting together a really cool a new version and take of our Release and Intentions workshops. So stay tuned, you guys. I will see you in just a moment. Catch us on Transformation Talk Radio and Shades of Spirit LLC. I'll see you right after these messages. Welcome back, everybody. This is Shades of Spirit on Transformation Talk Radio. I am psychic medium and Reiki master Jaime. As I talked in the beginning, go after the show. Don't do it now. After the show, paranormal road trip. LaShawn the Luminous Mystic, who you have all seen, we all know and love, and I have created our own paranormal group instead of doing just kind of separate or, our own companies. We literally have brought it together. She got someone to make us a really cool logo, which I love. And we are going to be doing road trips for paranormal investigations. We've got the Whaley House in Old Town San Diego. That sold out in 20 minutes. We're staying at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Old Town, which is also allegedly haunted, and doing multiple events there, actually, with some group readings, the Paranormal Experience group reading, where you get to interactively work with us with the paranormal equipment, as well as get a reading from it. So that's really cool. We're also doing, LaShawn and I are going up to the Queen Mary, and we're going to check that out and see what type of programs they have, talk to their staff, do their paranormal investigation tour, and take all of our equipment and feel that out and see what kind of things we might be able to do up there. So just some localized things between, Riverside, Orange County, LA, San Diego for now. And then we actually have some locations lined up to go to probably after the first of the year, because we've become really busy now till the end of the year, that we can do some traveling to Nevada and Arizona and some of these really cool, like haunted locations. So check out Paranormal Road Trip. With that being said, today we're talking about past lives and what the difference is between a regression and a reading, and then how I put mine together, and how past life readings can really help us disconnect, cut cords, finish off karmic lessons in order to free us up for our future lives, and hopefully one day to reach that space of complete enlightenment and ascension where there is no more karmic energy tied to our soul from all these lives that we've lived. Now, let me give you a quick glimpse into numerology. I do believe in numerology. It is different than astrology when I am talking about past lives. I do believe that numbers hold power. Letters hold power because they have a number associated with them. And when we do numerology readings, which is something I also do, that should be another show. I like our numerology readings. We tie a number to your birthday, right? The year that you were born, the day you were born, the month you were born. We simplify it and we put it into a life path, if you will. That never changes unless your birth certificate's wrong. Our names will change. We get married. We use a nickname. We change our name. We go by our middle name. Those type of vibrations shift. But when we're on a life path, we have 9 lives in numerology. It's like a cat. So for all of you into cats, it's probably because you have a 9 life cycle. And in those 9 lives, we are here to learn certain things. And it's to grow and ascend. And we'll get hit with the enlightenment portion of it and the raising our vibration portion of it and all the cool things that go with it. And the spiritual enlightenment is just out of control because we've been doing this so many times over. We have to think our existence is not linear. Our identity is not on a timeline that starts at birth and ends at death. And thank you for coming, right? And again, if you don't believe in past lives and you believe you're a one and done, which if you guys remember during the pandemic, I was helping our 92-year-old neighbor with grocery shopping, and him and I would get into these discussions, and he did not believe in past lives. He did not believe in reincarnation. He thinks that when he's dead, he's dead. That's what he'd say. And I go, oh, Maurice, there's so much more out there. And I could see his wife, who had passed years before, standing with him. And I never brought that up because I knew where he stood and I respected those boundaries. But we do reincarnate from my experience, and we do come back to learn lessons, and that it isn't just a one and done. Our souls have cycles in the form of human lives, right? But there's a place in everybody's energetic field, which is our Akashic records. And that holds our entire soul's history, past, present, and future, which is why for me, past life readings and Akashic readings absolutely intertwine. Past, present, and future energy. And if I'm in the future, which is where a lot of us like to go in our Akashic records, is my choices correct? Are my choices correct? Am I on the right path? I have to go back into the past to make sure that if you're carrying any residual energy and lessons that are learned, that we clear that out so that we can make this as pure as possible to move into the future. These records you guys can access at any moment in your soul's journey. You guys. Not with my help. You can do it. You've got to be able to have that quiet space in mind in order to do so. If you're a psychic, if you're really tuned into your gifts, sometimes you can bypass some of those hurdles that we have and jump into the energy of your records immediately. For me, it's using my psychic gifts in order to jump into my client's energy immediately and to just like escalate myself right up into their records. When we work with your past lives, when you work with your past life energy, you're going to use your spirit team. Yes, your spirit team, your spirit guides, your angels, that group that comes with you and travels with you every single life where mine's like, please slow down, please, let's just, this is ninth for you. Let's just take a nice little vacation. But I'm going to call forth your guide that works in your Akashic records and past life energy. I'm going to call on your angel that works in your holo records, your Akashic records. And I'm going to ask them to work with me and my spirit team and to help translate the information that they want to come through. Now, if you're into automatic writing, this is a beautiful process to where you can ask that spirit guide to come through and that angel to come through and sit with you, turn on some music, light some candles, whatever your ambiance is, and make it a solid intention of, I want to access the past life, which is causing me to repeat the patterns of and write out those patterns. And then you sit with your eyes closed for a minute, you take some deep cleansing breaths, and you just let the ego go and just kind of melt into your space. Pick up the pencil and just start writing with what comes to you. It's amazing what you can do in that active process. And that allows us to bring that information to the surface and to also build our relationship with our spirit guide and our angel, and be able to see it from a different perspective, because now we've written it and we don't always remember exactly what we wrote. So now we're reading it back to ourselves, connecting with our higher self and being like, I get it now. I see what needs to be cleared out. That's what I do for me, is that I will create that space. I will sit, create my ambiance. We all know how we are, get my crystals out. And I will call in my past life and Akashic record, spirit guide, and my hall of records angel. And I will say, I'd like to go to, and I will give them a specific intention. Remember, we don't need to hear the sea turtle story. I just told that with someone, we were laughing about that. But you need to be extremely specific in what you want. And what do you want to break the pattern of? Or what do you feel like you have released, but it just keeps creeping in? That back door is not all the way closed. That sounds horrible. Spirit Walker Nicole, shh. You gotta move forward. We gotta close these doors and make sure that they are kind of sealed off, and that we put them in that Akashic record and our holo records, and they're sealed, lock and key, all done. We don't want to have them open back up. The blend of Akashic records and past life sessions in my healing work helps bring closure and healing from past lives that may carry a lower vibration. It may carry imprints. It may carry stagnant energy that's inhibiting our soul's evolution. And that's why we repeat patterns and cycles. How many of you kind of understand that whole process, right? We repeat these patterns and cycles because we don't understand that we've been doing this over and over and over again in our past lives. And we don't want to inhibit our soul's growth. We want to be able to release all of that in order to move forward. Now, also, I want you to think about your own physical body, right? We've all got, I'm not going to say that, we don't all have. Most of us have something going on in our physical body. It might be that we've got arthritis starting. It might be that we have chronic migraines. It might be that we have, stomach upset. Every day is different. So if we think about what's happening in our physical body, and if it's a chronic illness, pain, what is that saying about a past life that we had? And why do I bring that up? Because I'm a Reiki master teacher as well. So I do believe that when we do Reiki, we are clearing out past life energy and lessons, karmic energy. We're cutting those cords, dissolving that energy so we can move forward. Does that mean you don't have to go to the doctor now? No, please, you guys, we need modern day medicine. But I do believe that we can help facilitate healing through this modality by releasing that energy, clearing that energy out, not allowing our physical body and our etheric bodies to carry that energy for us to move up in vibration and to continue moving forward. Wouldn't it be great if we could just get the vacuum, those dust busters? Didn't make dust busters anymore, I don't know. But like just dust bust it all out. That's a visualization tool that you can do, right? No pig pen dust. I want clear energy. I want crisp energy. For me, it would be like I'm out on a boat in the ocean. I want that to be that energy and flow around me. And anything that starts to come in that I need to let go of is going to push back out. And I'm just going to cut those cords and release that. We can use our karmic illnesses, if you will. For me, I've got the knee issue, as you all know. You're sick and tired of me talking about it, but literally the knees. And when I find myself in a higher vibrational space, when I release fear, when I go back into the past lives that have caused me this pain, when I can see what was the situation that wouldn't allow me to move forward, because sometimes it's not just a physical reason, okay? It's also an emotional reason. Where was that barrier that I couldn't get past? Allow myself to do the active processing and writing. I might be pulling some cards along the way. What do I need to do to clear it? Connecting with my angels and spirit team. Yeah, okay, this sounds like a lot of work. I get it. And a lot of us aren't going to do it because it sounds like a lot of work. But if we want to repeat those cycles and patterns, you're going to have to start doing the work. And I speak for myself as well. So if I'm not actually doing it, how can I teach it? How can I preach it? And I have been doing a lot of that lately, which is probably why I'm getting so many of these readings. When I'm in that space, no matter what it is, I find that those are the clients that get drawn to me, right? Like attracts like. The simple act of acknowledging a past life through a reading has the potential to alleviate and disconnect the karma. So even in a regular reading, you guys that have had readings with me will know sometimes I dive into your past life out of nowhere. And when doing that, it allows me to help you acknowledge it and help you disconnect from that cord and send it away and then cap it. So you don't have to continue to experience that. And those of you that have had that, how freeing is that? Anytime our consciousness expands in this way, we increase our potential for spiritual evolution. Again, remember, if you find, this is kind of a heads up, if you're going to go get a past life reading, I want you to be aware of some things. And again, you don't have to come to me for a past life reading. Go to where you feel drawn to, but I want you to pay attention of some subtle things that's going to make your eyebrow raise and you're going to be like, huh, does that feel right to me? Okay. So if you are doing a past life reading and your practitioner starts out with extreme details, dates, specific times, what life you're on, who you were, and you are not identifying in that energy, probably is they're pulling a lot of their ego in along with the blurps that they're getting from the spirit side. So I'm not saying they're not necessarily connecting in your energy, but they're now creating a story. So I've had someone that tried to give me very specific things. And I'm like, no, man, that's, I'm not feeling that. I'm not understanding that, because we can't get into that specificness, if you will. Specificness. Again, like I said, the headache today, a little throwing me off. When people ask me, what life is this? That's a big question I get. So when they sign up for a past life and I start talking about them, they want me to give them its life path 5. I don't know what life path it is. You know why? Because again, going back to numerology, we have 9 lives in cycles. I don't know which number 5 this is. Is it this cycle? Is it 2 cycles ago? Is it 4 cycles ago? I don't know. Now, sometimes I can kind of thread them together and be able to give you a general idea of a time frame, kind of a year frame based on what they're showing me in this cycle. And that's sometimes kind of cool because I can see the way that people dressed, what the landscape looked like. But if somebody's going, that's life path 3, I want you to think about that and be like, okay, but which 3, right? I know I feel, and a lot of people like, I knew I felt like I had more lives than 9. Yeah, you've been here multiple times in those cycles because we're continuing that spiritual evolution and growth. I'm not saying again that they're wrong. I just want you to really look at these details and feel them within your emotional body, connect them with your higher self. Does this feel like it's the right information? That's the worst thing that I hate. And it's been driving me crazy because I get people all the time that get misled information and they come to me to try and sort it out and fix it, which of course I do. But it's because people are starting to acknowledge what feels real and what doesn't. When we go into your past life reading, your Akashic reading, I generally will ask you, where do you see yourself? Can you see? And I might move into more of a regression for a moment. So that's the thing. We can play with that a bit. I'm not going to take you into hypnosis state, but I'm going to ask you questions to reflect. And if you ever feel uncomfortable, I want you guys to say something, right? I love this one as well. So we get a lot of people that will come for past life regressions, past life readings, right? And they're going to think their questions are silly. One client I had, she was like, I felt like I was a Neanderthal, and this is why. And she started tracing things back. And I said, okay, let's go back into that time and space. So I'll have her close her eyes. I'll do a little guided meditation, not a regression, just a little guided meditation from what she told me. And sometimes you're able to actually tap right into that space, see it from the outside perspective. So how many of you have seen the movie Scrooge, right? And the ghosts of past, present, and future all come down, they take him, and he's watching. That's this experience that I'm going to bring to you, is to allow you to watch that movie. And we're putting up the barriers and guidelines that you're not taking that energy on, you're not reliving it, you're not feeling that traumatic experience, but you're able to watch it and get that validation you need. And then what are we taking away from this experience in order to release and let go? When we move into past lives, we have to move our energy up into a higher vibration. And I was just telling Emily this experience. I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with medicinal ways of connecting, right? And you'll see there's all sorts of topics on medicinal mushrooms, medicinal marijuana, people using these type, people will use LSD, some of these hardcore drugs. I have never done them. I don't plan on ever doing them. To each their own. But when you are looking on the side of medicinal mushrooms, and I can talk on that part of it, and wanting to take yourself into that past life experience. And I have done that before. Not me personally, I did not take them. I did not supply them. I just guided through the past lives. It's amazing what happens. And I'm not saying go out and get some mushrooms and do a past life reading by any means, but you can do this in an altered state of mind through meditation. And you can separate yourself from your physical body, from your soul, and connect yourself into a completely different vibration, which needs to be higher in order for us to get you into an even more expansive process, if you will. And so if you're going to use different modalities or tools like medicinal mushrooms or these other things, be my guest. You need to talk to your doctor, you need to do all that. I am not giving you permission to go out and do these things, like I said, but I can bring you into that space through meditation. And it's different than a regression, which is why we're talking about past life readings and past life regressions, is that when I bring you into a meditation, I'm bringing you in as the observer. And that is ultimately what's happening, even if you are using different substances, is you are becoming now the observer. You are not actually in a regression state where we have put you back into that space, and you are now feeling and bringing all that trauma back up in order to release. In my opinion, we don't have to go that route, because it can be just as effective for us to be the observer in an experience, see it, acknowledge it, and then allow ourselves to clear it out. So like I said, summarizing all of this, past life readings, past life regressions. Past life regressions are done in a hypnosis state where you are guided through by someone who is taking you into that space. They're working on a regression for you to be able to feel that trauma, to be able to acknowledge it. And I'm hoping it's not just trauma. I'm hoping it's also love and light and that type of energy that they're bringing forth with you. And yet a lot of people will feel it in their physical body. Not everybody, but a lot. And that's what they don't want. But if you are interested in past life, you can do a past life reading. Now, if you're not doing it with me, again, that's fine. Go to who you're drawn to. But if you don't want to feel it and experience that trauma, please ask them whether it's a regression or a past life reading. With that being said, past life reading is that we are getting into information of your past, which might be a bit of a barrier or hang up in how you want to move forward. We're going to look at your Akashic records. We're going to move into your Hall of Records. We're going to call in your past life spirit guide. Yes, you have one. Everybody does. And your past life or your Hall of Records, or however you feel that angel is, we're going to bring them in. And we are going to sit in a space, a safe space of love and light, in order to get the answers that you're looking for. You can do this yourself. You can create that safe space. Surround yourself in love and light. Protection is a must when we're moving into past life energy. And allow yourself to see as the observer that past life. For me, and you don't have to be psychic in order to do this, because we all are psychic. For me, it comes out as a movie. So I am literally like I'm in Scrooge. That's the only way I know how to describe it. And I'm standing there with my angel, with my guide, and they're like, all right, watch this again, because you're repeating this cycle, this pattern. Ah, now do you get it? Great. So now let's go in and cut those cords. You have already learned this lesson, so we do not need to repeat it. Sometimes, though, we do need to repeat them because we haven't fully learned it, which is why we carry certain threads with us in each life that we continue moving forward with. Unless we just came into this life and really didn't learn anything, then we may have to come back and do it again. That doesn't happen very often. Even with those that have passed with suicide, drug and alcohol overdoses, sudden deaths, those type of things, most of them have learned the majority of those lessons and will just take those threads into the next life. But when we get to life path 9, like where I'm at, if we have not cleared out some of that, we're going to have a lot of freaking lessons that we're trying to learn in this last life so that we don't have to repeat them. So what I want you guys to do now as I'm closing out the show is I want you guys to, not if you're driving, go back and listen to this part later, okay? Is I want you guys to close your eyes. If you're sitting in a safe space, please sit. Otherwise, just listen to it. And then I want you to write it out. And I want you to put on some meditation music over the next week. And I want you to really work on clearing out some of this energy, okay? So just relax. Let's listen. I call in Archangel Michael to clear, cut, cancel, and remove all cords that no longer serve my highest and best. I call Archangel Michael to keep me protected in this space and to help me access any of these lives that I've brought from my past lives into the current one. I choose to release the lessons I have completed in this life, but hold on to for another. I am ready to peacefully detach from all lessons that I have learned, but hold on to them. I believe in my ability to heal. I am willing to heal now. I am ready to heal. I am choosing to heal. I am choosing to release any pain, sadness, confusion, and frustration, consciously or unconsciously. I am choosing to release labels. I am choosing to release the anger. I am choosing to release any self-hatred, and I am replacing it with self-love. I call on Archangel Raphael to surround me in a bubble of green healing light, holding space for me as I continue to heal and move forward in this life. I want to thank you guys for joining me on our past life reading and past life regression show. Join me in 2 more weeks where we're going to have much more fun going on. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. Find me over at transformationtalkradio.com and shadesofspirit.com to book your session. Thank you guys. Have a good evening. You've been listening to Shades of Spirit with me, Jaime. Tune in next time on Transformation Talk Radio as I connect you with your crossed over loved ones, angels, and guides. For more information and to book your own private experience, go to shadesofspirit.com. That's shadesofspirit.com.